Hi, welcome once again to our YouTube channel. Thanks for subscribing to our channel. Really appreciate you. Thanks for coming along with us. It's been our pleasure. Today we want to talk about the Neco 2024 Biology Practical Specimen. We quickly want to take a rundown on all of the specimens that have been released by Neco for this year's Biology Practical Examination. So we'll be itemizing all of the specimens right now, after which we'll be talking about each of the specimens, analyzing them, and checking out possible questions that we might come across in the course of the exam. So without wasting much of our time, we'll quickly dive straight into listing all of the specimens as they have been given out to us by the exam body Neco. So we're starting with Specimen A. Specimen A. Specimen A, and that happens to be onion. Onion is our specimen A, and that is a bulb. That is what we are having for our specimen A. And for our specimen B, what we have there is the ginger. We have ginger for specimen B. That is a rhizome. That is what we have for specimen B. And for our specimen C, what we were given is Irish potato. Irish potato. That is what we have for our specimen C. It is a tuber. And then we have our specimen D. Specimen D happens to be potted bean seedling. Potted bean seedling of about a week old. That is what we were given. And then specimen E now. Specimen E, we're told to get potted Guinea corn. Potted Guinea corn seedling. That is what we were told to get. And then for our specimen F, we're told to get the pigeon's head with its neck. Pigeon's head with neck. That is what we were told to get. And then our specimen G happens to be the atlas vertebrae of a rabbit. The atlas of a rabbit. And then specimen H happens to be the lumbar. The lumbar of a rabbit as well. And then our specimen I. We have our specimen I to be the cactus plant. Cactus plant. That is what we are given as our specimen I. And then we have our specimen J. Our specimen J happens to be the water lettuce. Water lettuce. And then we have specimen K. Specimen K there is ripe tomato fruit. Ripe tomato fruit. And specimen L, we have our specimen L to be palm fruit. Ripe palm fruit. And then we have specimen M to be ripe Tridax fruit. Ripe Tridax fruit. And then we have our specimen N. Specimen N there we're told to get ripe mango. Ripe mango fruit. And then for specimen O, we're told to get ripe flamboyant flower. ripe flamboyant flower. So these are the things that we were told to get for the 2024 biology practical specimen. So we'll be picking all of these specimens one after the other, explaining a few things about all of them, as well as showing us some pictures to buttress all of our points as we discuss them one after the other. So we'll move straight into explaining them now, starting with specimen A. So let's move straight in. Specimen A now. Specimen A. So what do we have to say about specimen A? Specimen A, like we said, it's the onion. The onion bulb is our specimen A. So what have we got to talk about the onion bulb? The onion bulb botanically is called the allium cepa. Let me put it here. We have its botanical name called the allium cepa. That is its botanical name. Now, let's quickly talk about its classification. When we talk about its scientific classification, we have the kingdom. We have the kingdom to be Plantae. It belongs to the Plantae. And then we have the phylum now. The phylum is, we call it the Trachyphyte. It is a trachyphyte, so it is a Trachyphyta. And then we have the class. The class happens to be the Liliopsida. And we have the order now to happen to be the Aspergillus. Then the family. The family therefore, the allium cepa is the Alliaceae. It is spelt like this, Alliaceae. And then we have the genus to be the allium, while the species is the cepa. The species is the cepa. So this is the classification of the allium cepa, which is the onion. So moving further, we said it is the scientific name is called the allium cepa. It is a vegetable on the ground bulb. It is a vegetable that is grown on the ground, rich in many vitamins. A vegetable underground crop or plant that is rich in vitamins. It is rich in vitamins. It also has minerals and antioxidants that helps to eliminate free radicals. It has minerals and antioxidants that helps to eliminate free radicals. They eliminate free radicals from harming the body, and they have low calories. They have low calories. Yes. Now, we have basically two types of this plant. Basically, we have the white and the purple to brown color of the plant types. Now, we have the white, and then the second one, we have the purple We have the purple to brown. This is distinguishing it by its characteristic color. So we have the white, then the purple to brown. Now, like we said earlier on, it is a bulb. It is a bulb. It is a vegetable. So it can be added to our meals as vegetables. Now, when it is dried and powdered, it is used as spice. When dried and milled or grounded into powder, can be used as spice. Yes. Now the type of placentation that we have, placentation here, the type of placentation that we have in onion, we have it to be axial. That's the type of placentation that we have for the allium cepa. So that's what we have for the allium cepa. Let's quickly see example of what we are talking about. So this here is an example of allium cepa. That is the onion. You can see what it looks like. This is another example. Now, peradventure you are told to draw a longitudinal section of the onion of the allium cepa. This is what it looks like. We can see the part of the onion bulb here. Now, we have the foliar system at this point here, and then we have all the leafy parts here. At the outermost part is called the tonic. Then we have all of the scales here. That's the fleshy part that is actually eaten. Now, all of these fleshy parts too can get dried up to become the tonic, particularly when the outer coating is being removed. So the next layer becomes the tonic, and that is how it gradually peels off or scales. And then we have the modified compact here, and then we have the adventitious root. So that is basically what the allium cepa is talking about. We can also see another diagram here. This diagram here shows the stage of growth in the onion. So we can see it starting from the seed here, the seed, and then germination takes place, it sprouts, then the seedling, and then the plant itself before it becomes a fully mature or fully grown onion. So that is basically what we have for the allium cepa. So moving further now, we move to the next specimen, which is going to be Specimen B. Specimen B, and happens to be the ginger rhizome. Now its own botanical name, we have its own botanical name to be the Zingiber officinale. Zingiber officinale. That is its own botanical name. Now please, when you're writing your botanical name, you can see that I'm not joining the underline. It is very important that you don't join the underline at any point in time. Now, we have written out that specimen. Let me quickly do this. Okay, so what do we have to say about the Zingiber officinale? First and foremost, it is a flowering plant. Yes, but before we go to that, let me quickly talk about its classification. So looking at its classification, we have the kingdom to be Plantae. The kingdom is Plantae. We have the phylum to be Trachyphyta. It is a trachyphyte as well. So we have it to be the Trachyphyta. Then we have the class there to be the Liliopsida. It is also a Liliopsida. The Liliopsida. And then the order, we have the order to be the Zingiberalis. The Zingiberalis. We have the family this time around to be the zingiberaceae. And then we have the genus. The genus is Zingiber. And then the species is Officinale. So this is basically the classification, the taxonomical classification of the ginger rhizome. So let's move further now, talking about the ginger rhizome. We said it is a flowering plant whose rhizome, or that is the ginger, is widely used as a spice. Yes, it is a flowering plant. It is a flowering plant whose rhizome or that is the ginger itself is widely used as a spice. Yes, basically people eat it as a spice. They use it to spicing up their food, and it is very medicinal. It is highly medicinal. It is highly medicinal. It is a herbaceous perennial crop. It is a herbaceous perennial crop. Which produces annual pseudostems now. It produces annual pseudostems. What we mean by pseudostem there is what? The false stem. Yes, when we look at the body of a rhizome, particularly the ginger, it feels like it flakes up, particularly the stem of the plant. It flakes, so it peels gradually in layers. That is what we're actually talking about here. And it is made up of rolled bases. This pseudostem is made up of rolled bases of leaves. That's what we're talking about. So that is what the pseudostem is actually looking like. Now, we have this particular plant here. We have said it before that it is a vegetable, it is a flowering plant. Now, the kind of reproduction that occurs in the ginger or the rhizome, we have it to be asexual reproduction. Reproduction is asexual. We have two types of reproduction. We have the sexual reproduction that involves the fusion of gamete, or the union of two gamete cells, which is the male and the female. But particularly for this one here, we are talking about asexual, which is just the production of offspring from a single parent. Now, this particular one is asexual, and it is from the vegetative propagation. Asexual, we have vegetative propagation. Now, what kind of vegetative propagation? We have so many types of vegetative propagation. So the one we're actually talking about here is, we have it called the budding. That is a particular type of vegetative propagation that we are talking about. So that is where this particular organism, the ginger rhizome, actually brings about its own offspring. So that is what the ginger is about. Now, if we look at it, we have said that before that it is a spice. Now, some of the medicinal functions now is that it increases serotonin and dopamine levels in the body. Medical functions or uses. Alright, number one, it increases the serotonin and dopamine levels. In the body. Yes, that is very important. Then it reduces inflammation. Reduces inflammation. Another thing there is that it eases. Okay, let me use this. It is good for anxiety and depression. Good for anxiety and depression. Good for anxiety and depression. It is also good in tackling dementia problems. That's memory loss, dementia, Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease, as well as PTSD. PTSD there means post-traumatic stress disorder. That is the meaning of the PTSD. And then we have another one there that it eases stomach pains, treats nausea and motion sickness. Eases stomach pains, nausea. We have stomach sickness as well. It also prevents swine flu. Yes, that is another thing. Let me add that as the fifth one. Prevention. It prevents swine flu. So these, amongst others, are so many of the functions of the rhizome. So it is very, very good. It is very, very medicinal. It can be added to our meals as spices. So we should try as much as possible to try them out whenever we have the opportunity to. So this is what we refer to as the ginger. We can see the ginger here. This is a picture, a pictorial diagram of the ginger. We can see the diagram. So we can see how the rhizome itself looks. So let me show us other pictures. This is how the plant looks. Now, if you look at this particular plant here, this part here, you can see what they wrote here, scale leaf. Now, all of these things here can start scaling off gradually, such that you'll be able to see the inner coating of the organism. And this is how it carries out its reproduction. You can see this outgrowth here. It is called a bud. So the bud can actually be cut off. It can be cut off from the parent organism, and then this particular one here becomes another organism that will grow and mature into a parent organism as well, and then reproduction continues in that way. So like we said, the type of reproduction in it is the asexual reproduction, which is actually vegetative propagation and then budding. So the cutting of the bud is what we refer to as budding. This is another picture that can help us understand what we are talking about. Now, this is how the mature plant looks after it has been uprooted from the soil. You can see it. So when you uproot it from the soil, this is the leafy part of the, remember we said it is an herbaceous plant, so this is the leafy part of the plant, and then it is an underground crop. So you have the fruit, or let me say the crop, the stored rhizome underneath the soil. So you can see all of this part here will be buried in the soil. Now, there is a similar type of crop to this particular specimen that we are talking about, and that organism, or that rhizome, is called the turmeric. Now, this is what turmeric looks like. You can see. Now, if you look at this particular species here, this particular one is called turmeric. If you look at this part here that I'm pointing the pointer at right now, we can see that it has orange coloration, and the outer part of it is brown, more brown, or brown tending towards dark red. That is what we have as the skin color, the coat color here, while the inner part is orange, as opposing to the ginger that we're talking about. See how ginger looks here. We can see it. So ginger has a light brown skin color, and then inside it is more or less brown as well. So we should not take them for another. So this is turmeric. So this is the plant of turmeric. You can see it here. So we try as much as possible not to mismatch them at any point in time. So that is basically what our specimen B is talking about. So we'll move straight now to the specimen C, which is the Irish potato. Specimen C, that is Irish potato. So what is our specimen C? The Irish potato. That is what we want to talk about right now. Now, we should understand as well from here that even the Irish potato has its own botanical name. So we'll be picking that, talking about that right now. So what do we have to say about the Irish potato? Let me quickly put this the botanical name here. The botanical name is called the Solanum tuberosum. The botanical name, like I said, is the Solanum tuberosum. So as usual, let's have another. Okay, so we have this here, the Solanum tuberosum. So let's pick out the classification now. The classification, the botanical classification, starting from the kingdom. I just want us to be familiar with all of these things so we get a better grasp of what these plants we're talking about are. Classification now, the kingdom, it is also a Plantae. Yes, we have basically 5 kingdoms: kingdom Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. So all of these that we have been talking about, they are all plant crops. That is why they belong to the kingdom Plantae. So we have a phylum now to be the Trachyphyta as well. We have them to be Trachyphyta. We have the class to be the Angiosperma. Angiosperma, and we have the order here to be the Solana. The Solanales. We have the family to be the Solanaceae. Solanaceae. We have the genus to be the Solanum, and then the species is the Tuberosum. So it is from this now, the genus and the species, that we have the botanical name to be the Solanum tuberosum. Now, this particular plant is an edible perennial starchy vegetable tuber. Let me start with that. It is an edible, yes, because we eat it very well. It is very nutritious and very rich in some nutrients that we'll be looking at soon. It is edible, perennial, starchy vegetable tuber. Yes, that is what we have for this particular crop that we're talking about. Now, it is a good source of soluble fiber. It is a good source of soluble fiber. Very, very rich in helping to clear the bowels. It helps to reduce cholesterol levels, which helps to reduce when consumed. When consumed, it helps to reduce the cholesterol level in the body. It reduces cholesterol level in the body. It is also rich in other nutrients like also rich in, we have high amount of protein in it. It has carbohydrates. It has minerals and vitamins. Minerals and vitamins. These are very important things that we need to understand about this particular crop. Now, we have basically two types. We have two types of this Irish potato. Types. Basically, we have the white and the red. Red and white. Those are the types of the Irish potato that we have. So the white varieties are known to have superior cooking qualities than the red, but we have the red that lasts longer than the white. The red has a longer shelf life. It lasts longer than the white. Now, it is being produced or reproduced sexually using flowers. This is the reproduction here. Reproduction sexually using, it can be produced in two ways. So it can be produced sexually using flowers that bear fruits. Using flowers, using its flowers that bear fruits. That is one way it can be produced, and it can also be produced in another way, that is asexually now, using the eye of the potato. It can also be produced asexually using the eye or the eye spots of the potato plant itself. The potato plant. So these are some of the things that we need to understand about the Irish potato. We have other types of potato as well. We have the sweet potato. So they all fall under the same family, though they are of different genomes. So we need to understand this. So looking at the Solanum tuberosum, let us see a few pictures. So here we have a picture of what the Irish potato looks like. We can see what it looks like here. So this is a picture of the Irish potato. We can see how smooth the sheet or the skin or the fleshy part of the plant looks like. So these are other examples. Now this is the plant of the potato. It is a tuber, so it is found buried under the ground. So this is how the plant of it looks. Here's another picture of it. You can see it closely here. So all of these parts here, which is the tuber itself, will be found buried inside the ground, and then we have the leaves above it. So that is basically what the Irish potato, the Solanum tuberosum, looks like. So let's move to the next specimen now, which happens to be the Specimen D. Specimen D. Specimen D. Potted bean seedling. That is what our Specimen B looks like, Specimen D. So let's quickly write out its own scientific name or its botanical name. We have its botanical name to be the Phaseolus vulgaris. So like we have talked about different organisms, this also is a group of organisms that come from different we have different families. So the family for this particular crop, we have it to be the Fabaceae. So let us quickly see the classification first before we move further into it. Classification, we have the kingdom. It is also a Plantae. We have the phylum this time around to also be the Trachyphyta. It is also a Trachyphyta. We have the class to be the Angiosperma. it is an angiosperma. We have the order to be the Fabales. The Fabales is the order, and then we have the family, like I said, to be the Fabaceae. The Fabaceae is the family, and then we have the genus and the species to be the Phaseolus. The Phaseolus, and the species is the Vulgaris. The species is the Vulgaris. So we are told to present a weak seedling, a week old seedling of the bean in a pot. So basically that is what we are talking about for this particular specimen. So what is a bean? What is a bean? A bean is we call it a legume. It is a creeper or a climber. Bean, which is a legume, is a creeper. We call them creepers or climbers. Creeper or climber, because you see them creeping on the ground, or when they have the opportunity they climb on stems of other plants or whatever thing you choose to support them with. So I said it is a legume. So let me just put that here. We call it the pulse. Legume, the meaning it is a pulse. So it is a pulse. Now we have different varieties of this bean. Like I was saying earlier on, there are different species in a family, in different families. So let me just list a few varieties here. We have the kidney bean. We have the kidney bean. We have the black bean. We have the pinto bean. We have the navy bean. The navy bean. All of these are examples of the beans that we have. Now the beans are summer crops. Beans are summer crops, and they need warmth. They are summer crops that need warm temperature. They need warm temperature. And then, since it is a legume, it is capable of nitrogen fixation. It is capable of nitrogen fixation. Yes, we have that as one of the attributes of the legumes. Hence, it does not need fertilizer for germination. Hence, it needs no inputs of fertilizer during germination. Now, this particular crop here, since it has the ability to fixate itself using nitrogen, it needs no fertilizer. It needs less fertilizer, particularly when it deals with, or when you consider its fertilizer application compared to other crops. Now, when we look at it, its maturity typically takes about 2 months. We say between 55 to 60 days. Maturity in bean seedling, in bean seed or plant, takes about 55 to 60 days. That is, let's say 2 months. 55 to 60 days from planting to harvesting. From planting to harvesting. So the moment it is being planted, just about 2 months, you'll be able to harvest them. They are basically called or known as vines. Yes, they are called vines because of their creeping capacity. Vines, as such, they need to externally support, they need external support. As such, they need external support. They need external support, which can be a care or pole, which can be in form, it can be in form of cane, in form of a cane or a pole. So you can use it to support them, giving them the ability to stand upright. It is a very important source of protein. This particular crop we're talking about is an important source of protein. I said it is an important source of protein. Now, the type of placentation that we have in this crop here, placentation in bean is the placentation that we have in bean is marginal. So we can have this as a diagram of our potted bean. We can see the bean seedling in a pot. So that is what it looks like. We can see it here. So it's more or less a week old bean seedling. You can see it. So I just gave us pictures of what we are looking at. But looking at the plant itself, this is how the plant looks like when it's about a week old. We have because it is this type of plants, they are called, those ones that are common. Okay, I will add that to our notes. It is called we call it the epigeo type of crop. They have their seed leaf above the soil level, so it is an epigeo type of crop. So this is about a week old. You can see it, you can see how it looks here. So that is about the bean seedling. So I said germination here is epigeo. Germination is epigeo. We can have that there in the notes. So that is basically what the bean seedling is talking about. Let's see what we have for specimen E. Specimen E. And for specimen E, we have potted Guinea corn. Potted Guinea corn. That is what we have for specimen B. Should also be a week old seedling. Potted Guinea corn seedling. Let us quickly look at its classification first before we dive in or to move further into it. Now, talking about the classification, let's start with the kingdom. The kingdom, we have it to be Plantae as usual. Plantae. The phylum, it is also a Trachyphyta. A Trachyphyta. Then we have the class. The class there it belongs to the Angiosperma. And then the order now, it is Epolis. Then the family to which it belongs, we have it to be the Poaceae. The Poaceae, and then we have the genus to be Sorghum. and then the species, we have it to be the bicolor. That is what we have the classification to be. So automatically its scientific name is going to be, let me just put that here. So the scientific name is going to be sorghum bicolor. That's it. That is the scientific name for this particular organism. Sorghum bicolor. So having said that, now let us go straight into talking about few things that we want to talk about on this. Now, the sorghum is a large stout crop or grass. Sorghum is a large stout grass. Now, it grows very tall. It grows very tall and has an average height of 7.9 feet. With average height of 7.9 feet. That is how tall it appears to be. It has bushy flower head. It has bushy flower heads. Now this bushy flower head is what we refer to as the panicles. The flower heads are called the panicles. That is what we refer to the flower head as. Now it is primarily grown for forage. It is primarily cultivated for forage, used as syrup or production and syrup production, as well as ethanol. For forage in the production of syrup production, and in ethanol. These are very important uses of the sorghum. They are drought and heat resistant. They are drought and heat resistant, so they can be grown in areas that have high temperature. That is what that means. They are drought and heat resistant. So if they are found in areas that have high temperature, we see such organisms as organisms that are found in environments with high temperature. We call them the xerophytes. So xerophytes have the ability to survive in environments that has high temperature with low or little amount of moisture in such areas. So this particular crop can survive in such environment. That is what we are saying. So we have that, and then we say that it can grow on all soil types. They grow or germinate on all soil types. That is very important to note. They grow on all soil types. They are rich in carbohydrates. Rich in carbohydrates. We have fats, proteins, vitamins. Fats, proteins, vitamins, minerals. So this particular crop is very, very rich. It also has dietary fibers as well. Dietary fibers. So these are more are the things that we have in the sorghum. Now, the grain is very nutritious. We have said that earlier on. It's very nutritious and can be eaten raw when young and milky, but it has to be boiled or ground into flour when mature. Yeah, so we use it in different forms. Let's say eaten can be eaten raw when it is young. Can be eaten raw when it is young and milky. And can also be milled. And can be milled into flour. But will be needing to be boiled. But will need to be boiled. Will need to be boiled. Yes, when it is particularly grounded. When it is mature. This particular crop can also be used as animal feeds. It can be used as animal fodder, and then in production of alcohols like I listed here earlier on, can be used as forage, syrup production, and in ethanol alcohol. It's found as biofuel, so it is used as the production of ethanol. Now, it can also burst in hot oil to make popcorn. These are some of the things that you can use this particular specimen for. So that is about the potted guinea corn seedling. So the maturity period for this crop here, we have it to be between 3 to 4 months. Maturity period is between 3 to 4 months. That's 90 days to 90 to 120 days, and it is a known cereal. It is a cereal. So these are some of the things that we need to understand about the guinea corn. So showing us some pictures now of the guinea corn, we'll be having things that look like this. This is the picture of guinea corn. You can see how it looks. Now we are okay. Let me put that here also. That we could have it to be white or red. Types now. Types. We could have it to be white. It could be white or red. So those are the major types that we have. It could be white and it could be red as usual. So this is the red type here. We have it in this particular picture here. Now if you look at this is how the flower head looks. You can see the flower head. This is the plant itself. This is how the plant itself, this is how it looks. So from here now we can see the flower head. You can see the flower head here, and so that is what gives rise to this. You can see the flower head shown properly here now. So all of these flower heads now carry the grains of the sorghum. So that is what we get from the flower head. These are the things that we get from the flower head. So that is that about the specimen E. So we'll move next to the specimen F. Specimen F. Our specimen F is the pigeon. Pigeon's head. The pigeon's head with the neck. Now, if you look at the pigeon's head, it has its own botanical name. Classification for the pigeon now. Start with the kingdom. It is Animalia. It is Animalia. The phylum we have it to be chordata because it is a chordate, it is a backboned animal. Then the class there, we have it to be the aves. And the order, we have the order to be the columbiforms. Columbiformes. We have the family to be the Columbidae. Then we have the genus to be the Columba. And then the species is the Livia. So the botanical name automatically becomes the Columba liver. The Columba livia. That is the scientific name. So let's have an underline or two underlines, so to say, that will not be joined. You can see that is how we have it there. Now let's move further. So okay. These organisms are in the same family as the doves. Pigeons are in the same family as the doves. They have short necks and slender bills. They have short necks and slender beaks. They are also stout-bodied and stout-bodied. Now, this organism, they feed on seeds, fruit and plants. They feed on seeds, fruits and plants. Those are the things that they feed on. Now they are oviparous organisms, meaning they lay eggs. They are oviparous in nature. They are egg layers. Yes. And then we have their incubation period. When they lay their eggs, the incubation period is for about 14 to 19 days. Incubating for 14 to 19 days. This is how long they incubate. And then we have the care for them. They care for their young ones for an average of 2 to 3 weeks. They care for young ones after the eggs have been laid. For youngs for about 3 weeks. They have scales on the overall organism possess scales on the legs, particularly the hind limbs, and then with digits. With digits and nails. Also, they have different colors on their feathers. They possess different feather colors different feather colors. Now these are some characteristics that we want to look at, but specifically we'll be looking at the ear and the beak. Specifically, that is where we'll be dwelling. So let us see. Talking about the beak, we have different types of beaks. Types of beaks. We have the ones that are found in the woodpeckers, that is long and narrow. All of these beaks are shaped based on the type of food that these organisms feed on. So it is shaped on their food. It is modified based on their food types. So we have the one that is found in the woodpeckers that is actually used to peck on wood trunks. We have the one that is found by sparrows. We have the one that is found in eagles, which is curved and hooked because it is, and it is also very strong, and this is because of the kind of food they feed on. They need to tear flesh, so they need strong beaks. We also have the one that is found in some types of bird that are capable of cracking nuts. So their own beak is very very short and very very strong to be able to crack the nuts. But for this particular organism that we're talking about, the pigeon, we said, okay, let me just list some types of beaks here. Short and strong. We have that in eagle. We have long and thin. We have that in woodpecker. So you could be asked to differentiate between the types of beaks. We have flat and serrated. We have that in the ducks. We have let me talk about the one that we have for the pigeon now. We have it to be short, strong, cone shaped, beak. That is what we have in the pigeons. So these are examples of the types of beaks that we have in them. Now, like I was saying, the base of the beak has a sensitive skin portion called the cere. Base of the beak has a sensitive skin portion called the cere. That is what we call it. Called the cere. So we have that there, and then the feathers on the head and the neck, they form stand up. They form stand up, they stand up to form crest. Hairs on the head towards the neck stand up. In some of these birds, they stand up to form crests. So these are a few things that we want to talk about in the birds. Now, they have their external auditory aperture that is posterior to the eye. They have their auditory external aperture, the auditory aperture that is posterior to the eye. So these are more the things that we want to look at talking about the birds. So now we see some pictures. This is the picture of a bird. You can see a pigeon. So we can see this place here. That is the head and towards the neck of the bird. So you can see the crest. You can see how they stand. You can see the crest on the hair. or the feather of the bird. Now you can see the beautiful color that it has. Now you can see how short the beak is, and it is very very strong. You can see it. This place here is what I refer to as the cell, the skin area around the beak, at the base of the beak. That's the cell. So those are the things that we need to look at. So like I made mention of it, we have different mouth parts for different birds. So you could be asked questions as to relating this particular beak type to other types of beak. Could be you could be asked to distinguish between this particular beak type and any other beak type, maybe the duck or any other. So you can see how it looks here also. So you can see the beautiful coloration. So you can see the neck here with the crest. So in the neck region, there the type of bone that we have there, starting from the base of the skull, we have the first atlas, and then we have so the bones that we have in this neck region, they are called the cervical vertebrae. So that is what the birds look like. You can see them. So those are the pictures that we have for the birds. So we'll move straight to our next specimen now, which is going to be specimen G. Specimen G. So our specimen G is the atlas vertebrae of a rabbit. Atlas vertebrae of a rabbit. Now for the scientific name, I'll just give us, we are not really dwelling on a rabbit per se. What we just want to talk about is the atlas vertebrae, but I'll just give us the scientific name of the rabbit. The scientific name is Oryctolagus corniculus. That is the scientific name, Oryctolagus corniculus. So now going straight to what we have to talk about, we want to talk about the atlas vertebrae. It is a type of the cervical vertebrae. The atlas is the first cervical vertebrae. Atlas is the first cervical vertebrae. That sits at the base of the skull. That is where we have this particular vertebrae. It is commonly called the C1 vertebrae. It is commonly called the C1 vertebrae. Now it articulates with the base of the skull, and the second cervical is the axis. It articulates that is, it rotates or joins with the base of the skull. At the base of the skull, at the upper part, and the second cervical bone or vertebrae, which happens to be the axis. So it articulates also with the axis at the lower end. So we have this bringing about movement, these two bones, particularly the atlas, okay? The atlas brings about movement of the head. It brings about movement of the head, giving it the opportunity or the ability to move almost 360 in all directions. It brings about movement of the head freely in all directions. We have that. We call it rotational movement. The rotational movement. Yes. Now, the centrum is found fused together with the axis. Let me put that here. The centrum of the atlas is found fused together. That's basically what I was trying to explain here. It's found fused together with the axis. With the axis in a process called the odontoid process. So these are some of the things that we want to talk about discussing the atlas of the rabbit. Now, the cervical vertebrae is 7 in number. We have it from C1 to C7. The bones of the neck, the cervical vertebrae region, the cervical vertebrae are 7, a total of 7 in number. Ranging from C1 all through to C7. So those are the things that we want to talk about discussing the atlas vertebrae. So we can have pictures like this to buttress our point. We can see this is the C1, the atlas. So looking at it now, we have this place here called the odontoid process. This is where the C1 sits on the C2. The connection between the C1 and the C2 is at this point here. So we can have the articular facet. You can see them, and this is the arc, the anterior arc. So we have all of this on the part of the cervical vertebrae. This is particularly the atlas bone. So this is another picture of the cervical. You can see it as well. So that is how the cervical looks. So now this is where it is found. We have the cervical here. We have it here. You can see where the mouth pointer is. That is where we have the cervical vertebrae. This place here is where we have the cervical vertebrae, while this one here is the axis. You can see it. You can see it written here. The atlas is here, and then we have the axis directly after it. All of the bones that we have in this neck region here, they are 7 in number. So that is what we have for the bone of the neck of the rabbit, called the cervical vertebrae, or the atlas vertebrae. So we'll move further to the next specimen now. Specimen H, which is the lumbar. Lumbar vertebrae of a rabbit. So don't forget its scientific name, like I told us minutes ago. It is called the Oryctolagus corniculus. That is the scientific name. So we are going to talk about the lumbar right now. And what we have to say about the lumbar, it is also a set of bone on the vertebral column of the organism. So the lumbar is found at the lower back. Lumbar is found at the lower back of the backbone. That is where it sits, that is its position. It's found at the lower back of the backbone. And it consists of, in the rabbit, it consists of a set of 7 bones. It consists of a set of seven bones. We have 7 bones for the lumbar. We have it ranging from the L1 through to the L7. Now, other structures in or around the lumbar are the spine, and they have intervertebral disc, the spinal cord, and nerves. We have other structures in and around the lumbar. The lumbar spine. We have the lumbar spine. We have the intervertebral discs. Intervertebral discs. We have the spinal cords. We also have the spinal nerves. So these are structures that are found in and around the lumbar vertebrae. Now, it is used as attachment points and for stability. This particular set of bone, lumbar vertebrae, are bones used for attachment, or used for, yes, as let me put it this way, used for attachment of organs and for stability. It gives stability, protection. It gives stability and protection to the body of the organism. Now, it is found in the third region, or it is the third region of the vertebral column. It is found in the third region of sets of bones. On the vertebral column. Before it, we have before the lumbar, we have the thoracic. We have the thoracic vertebrae. And then after the lumbar, we have the sacral vertebrae. So those are the informations that we need to have for the lumbar. Now, it makes up part of the axial skeleton. These 2 sets of bone that we have talked about, the atlas in the cervical as well as the lumbar that we have talked about, they make up parts of the axial skeleton. So that information is also very needed. So we need to have that as well. So looking at this now, we have the skeleton of the rabbit. So here is where we have the lumbar. We can see it here. Is where we have the lumbar vertebrae. So it is 7 in number when you count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is the lumbar region of the backbone. So let me show us a typical picture of that particular bone called the lumbar. This is how the lumbar looks. This is how the lumbar vertebrae looks. You can see it. So this is a labeled diagram, so to say. So we have this particular part here called the vertebral body. We have the vertebral foramen, the pedicle. We also have the transverse process here. You can see the transverse process, and here we have the vertebral foramen. So all of these, you can see the spine here. You can see the spine here. So these are pictures of the vertebra of the lumbar vertebrae. You can see it here also. This is what the lumbar vertebrae looks like. You can see pictorial diagrams showing the superior view and the lateral view. So we understand this now. So let us move straight to the next specimen. So the next specimen we have before us now is Specimen I. So that is where we are going to now. Specimen I. And our Specimen I, according to what we were given, is the cactus plant. We have cactus plant. Cactus plant. So that is what we'll be working on now. So looking at cactus plant, what we have for cactus plant, let's start with discussing its botanical name. So for cactus plants, okay, let's just look at the classification. It has so many genus, so we just look at the classification. Now for cactus plants, we have the kingdom to be Plantae. Plantae is the kingdom, and then we have the phylum to be Trachyphyta. It is also a tracheophyte, so it is Trachyphyta. And we have the class now. The class is Angiosperma also. Angiosperma. We have the order to be the Caryophyllales. We have it to be the Caryophyllales or the Caryophyllales. And then we have a family now. We have a family to be the Cactaceae. The Cactaceae. That is a family. And then we have the genome. We have so many genomes, so I will just make mention of a few. We have the Parodia. We have the Ferrocactus. So let me just write 2 here. Parodia, they have so many genomes. So I have Parodia, I have a Ferrocactus. The Ferrocactus. So looking at so many examples, we also have the Pacaceros, we have the Blospheldia. These are so many genomes. So just mentioning a few here. Now, looking at the species, since we have so many genomes, we have so many species. So I will just give us examples like the smallest species of all of these cactus. The smallest species of all of these cactus happen to be the Blospheldia lilleptunia. Blospheldia lilliputiana. So we have it to be the Blospheldia lilliputiana. And then we have the tallest species. The tallest of the species. The tallest species of this same organism that we're talking about, the cactus. We have the tallest of them to be the Pacaceros prenale. We have it to be, let me just put it here. Pachycereus plainly. So those are the this one here is the smallest species. We have this one here to be the smallest species, while this one here is the this one here is the smallest species, the Blosphadia liputiana, while this one here is the tallest of the species, the Pachycereus prangle. So let's just go straight to talking about a few things of this particular species. So this plant is adapted to hot, dry climates. Cactus is adapted to very hot and dry climates because they are xerophytes. They are called xerophytes. Now I will go to talk about xerophytes in a very few minutes from now. So I said that they are adapted to hot and dry climates, and they possess spines. The spines are produced from specialized structures called the areoles. Now the essence of having spines on them is just to like we said, they are plants, and majorly plants are supposed to have leaves, but it has been noticed that leaves are major organs of plants losing water to the surrounding. But because of the environment that these particular plants are found, the cactus plants, the environment in which they are found in very hot, dry environments, so they need not to lose much water to the surrounding, else the plant will die or the organism will die. So in order not to be losing water to the surrounding, that is why they have all of their leaves reduced to spines, and so that is why you have cactus having spines on them at all times. So we have to understand that. Now let me just talk a bit about the spines. They have their leaves reduced to spines to prevent water loss to the surroundings. That is the essence of them having spines. So these spines are produced from specialized structures called the areoles. Spines are produced from specialized structures called, we have the structures called the areoles. That is what the structures are called, the areoles. Now, one unique thing about cactus is their ability to store large amounts of water. I said that earlier on. Because they are xerophytes, so they need to store large amounts of water. They store large amounts of water in their stems. They store large amount of water in their stems. And this adaptation helps them to survive in desert conditions where there is scarce amount of water. They are known to withstand harsh climates, particularly in arid and desert lands. I said that, okay, let me just put that here. Cactus is adapted to very hot, dry climates, particularly in, let me put that here. We have them found in harsh, okay, arid and deserts. So that is the environment that you oftentimes find the cactus. So they are known to withstand harsh climates in such environments. Now this is because they are oftentimes found in environments that lack water. So the environment that you often see the cactus, they do not have water. And that is why they have their leaves reduced to spines. So I said earlier on that I was going to talk about the cactus being xerophyte. Okay, let me just put that here. Cactus are xerophytes. They are xerophytes. So what do I even mean by this cactus being xerophyte? So let's see this. The three types of plants based on their water loving capacity or water usage. Let me just put that here. Plant and water affinity. Plant and water affinity. So what we have that to be, we have the first one, we have the hydrophytes. Hydrophytes are water loving. So you find this type of organisms in environment that has high amount of water, that has abundance of water. And then we have the second one called the mesophytes. The mesophytes. These organisms here are found in an environment that does not have much water. So they have moderate amount of water. Moderate water. Well, we have the third one. The third one is called the xerophytes. The xerophytes. The xerophytes are water hating. So to say, water hating because they are found in environment that are extremely dry, environment that does not have much amount of water. So that is basically what we need to know about the cactus. Now looking at the hydrophyte, I will still talk about some other species that takes to be in one of these environments. So looking at the hydrophytes now, we have organisms that are found in environment that has high amount of water. Organisms like the water lily, it is a plant that survives in an environment that has surplus amount of water. And then we have other plants like the mesophytes that are found in environment that do not have much water. Crops like the corn or maize, we have crops like banana and the rest of those, they need moderate amount of water, not too waterlogged and not too dry. And then we have organisms like the one we are talking about right now, the cactus plant, which is a xerophyte surviving in an environment that is extremely dry. So let us quickly look at some pictures of what we are talking about, or what we have just called the cactus. Yes, this is an example of a cactus. We can see the plant here having some spines on it, having some spikes on it. So those are supposed to be the leaves, but because the plant is not supposed to lose water to the surrounding, that is why you have it having the spines on it, preventing water loss. So that is the essence of the spines on the cactus. You can see this is another species of another cactus. You can see the species here. This is another species. So there are so many examples of them. You can see this is another species of the cactus. We have so many examples of this species. This is another species here. You can see it. So those are different types of cactus. So that is about cactus, and speedily we move over to the next species, which is Specimen J. Specimen J, that is what we want to talk about now. And Specimen J is the water lettuce. Water lettuce. So looking at Specimen J, let us start by also listing or talking about its own classification. So the classification now, kingdom, it is also Plantae. The phylum, it is also a tracheophyte. So Tracheophyta. The class now, it is an angiosperma. It is an angiosperma. We have the order to be the Alismatalis. We have the family to be the Araceae. We have the genus to be the Pistia. The genus is Pistia, and then we have the species to be the Stratiolis. So those are this is the system of classification that we have for water lettuce. So what do we have to say about water lettuce? It is an hydrophyte, so it is a genus of aquatic plants. Lettuce is a genus of aquatic plants. So I said earlier on that we have what we refer to as hydrophyte. So this is an example of an hydrophyte. Water lettuce is an example of an hydrophyte because it is seen surviving or growing in water. It is a perennial monocotyledon with thick soft leaves. It is a perennial, that means it completes its life cycle in 2 planting seasons. It is a perennial monocotyledon with thick soft leaves. Yes, and these leaves form what we refer to as rosettes. The leaves form the rosettes. Yes, we oftentimes find this water lettuce floating on water with its roots dangling submerged beneath the floating water. It floats on water with its roots dangling submerged in the water beneath the leaves. That is where we oftentimes find it, and it can measure up to 2 to 15 centimeters long. They can measure up to 15 centimeters long and are usually with light green color and are characterized by a light green color Yes, that is about the genus. So about water lettuce, it is an hydrophyte, so we need to understand that very well. So like we have always done, the species, this particular one that we have talked about, we call it the Pistia striatus. That is the species or the botanical name of this particular crop. So we need to understand that. So looking at pictures of what the water lettuce can be like, let us see this. This is an example of the water lettuce. We can see the leaves here having light green color. We can see it. All of these ones here, they are on the surface of the water, while we have this place here below the water. So you can see the root system, and it is not submerged or buried in sand. The roots are just there floating in water. So that is what the water lettuce look like. So this is another example of the water lettuce. You can see it. You can see the light green coloration. You can see the leaves giving or forming what we refer to as the rosettes. You can see how it is being set around. So that is what we refer to as the rosette. So you have the leaves, you can see it, So the leaves are on the water while the roots are found submerged in the water underneath the leaves. So that is what the resetting looks like. You can see this is another example of what the water lettuce looks like. You can see it. So all of the leaves are on the water, then we have the roots found underneath the water. So you could be asked to draw or label the plant. So this is how it looks. You have the leaves here. These green patches that you are seeing here, they are the leaves, while you have the roots underneath the water. So you could draw something that looks like this and then you label. So that is about our specimen J, which is water lettuce. So let us move to the next specimen, which is specimen K. Specimen K. And our specimen K is ripe tomato fruit. Ripe tomato fruit. That is our specimen K, ripe tomato fruit. Scientifically, it is called Solanum lycopersicum. So peradventure you're being asked, that is what the scientific name is, the Solanum lycopersicum. So now let's quickly talk about its classification. Classification, there we have it to be Plantae in the kingdom. Plantae. The phylum, we have it to be Trachyphyta. The class, we have it to be Angiosperma. We have the order to be the Solanale. The Solanales. We have the family to be the Solanaceae. We have the genus now to be the Sotanum. We have it to be the Solanum. And then the species is the Lycopersicum. The Lycopersicum. So that is the classification. So talking about it now, tomato is a vegetable. So let me start this way. It is an edible berry or vegetable. Tomato is an edible berry. Yes, belongs to the class of the berries. It is also seen as a vegetable that is cooked in many delicacies. In many delicacies. Yes, and they are used in production of or to make so many types of sauces, salads, even some drinks. So the tomato, they are grown in temperate climates. They are crops that are cultivated in temperate climates, environment that are not very cold or too hot. And then they have height of about 3 meters. The plant has height of about 3 meters. Let me put that down. Cultivated in temperate environment. In temperate climates, that is average temperature. Average temperature. And we said it has a height. Plant has a height of about 3 meters. It has height of about 3 meters. Now they produce vines. They are vines with weak stems. These plants are vines. Plant stems are vines. As such, they sprawl and are typically, plant stems are vines and sprawls or crawls. Hence, they need support. They need support to help them grow and mature properly. Now, they are also perennial crops, but they are cultivated to be annuals. Tomato is a perennial crop cultivated as annual. Yes. Now, they are perennial crops and they are also dicots. Tomato is also dicot. It's a dicotyledon. They are also dicots. Like I said, that they produce vines. So these vines are typically pubescent. Okay, let me put that here. Vines that are pubescent. What we mean is that the vines are covered with fine short hairs. With hairs. They are covered with fine short hairs. That is what we see there. Now, this particular crop or species, they are propagated by seed. Tomato is propagated by seed. Yes, and slightly you must have fermented the seeds. They are propagated by seeds from mature fruit, and then they must have been slightly fermented. You use seeds from mature fruit. Okay, let me put that here. Propagated by seeds from mature fruits. Propagated by seeds from mature fruit, and then you must have slightly fermented them. The fermentation is to help remove the gelatinous outer coating and then dried before use. Now, this particular crop here, the placentation is axile. Placentation of tomato. Placentation is axile. So that is about tomato. So looking at it, we have the crop looking like this. This is what the tomato looks like. You can see the ripe tomato fruit here. This is another example of the ripe tomato fruit. I use this one to differentiate between the unripe and the ripe. You can see this one here is unripe, while this ones here, they are ripe. You can see them. Now, if you look closely on the vine, this is what we refer to as the stem of the plant. It is a vine. Now, let me zoom inward so we understand what I'm saying here. Now, if you look closely now, you will notice that there are hair-like structures on the vines. You will notice that there are hair-like structures on the vine. That is what we said earlier on, that the vines are pubescent. That is the meaning of what we are talking about. So we understand the difference between the ripe. This one here is a ripe plant, while this one here is the unripe plant. This one here, the one that is in green color, is unripe, while this one that is ripe is in red color. As you can see, these ones here, they are ripe. So looking closely now, you may not be able to see the hairs on this particular picture clearly, unlike the one I showed you previously. So that is what tomato looks like. Now, peradventure you are told to have a cut. a transverse cut, so to say. This is a transverse cut of tomato. Now it has been labeled. You can see it. You can see the label on the plant part. So we have the columella. You see it now. We have the columella here, and then the exocap, the outer coating here, where we have the direct coating underneath the exocap is the mesocap, and then we have the endocap in as well. So all of those form the sheet or the membrane of the tomato plant. So we have the placentation inside it. You can see the placentation here to be axial, turning towards the center, and then you have the seeds in the plant. So that is what the cut of this particular plant looks like. So we need to understand that. So that is about talking about specimen K. So we'll move over to the next specimen now, which is specimen L. Specimen L is the ripe specimen. Specimen L, we have ripe palm fruit. Ripe palm fruit. That is what we have for specimen L. And the botanical name is Elias. We have it to be Elias the Guinea. Elias Guinea is the botanical name for the palm fruit or the palm nut. So let us try to understand a whole lot that you need to know about the palm fruit. So talking about the palm fruit, looking at the classification first, it is also a Plantae. It belongs to the Plantae, also a Trachyphyta. It is also a Trachyphyta. The class there is Angiosperma. We have the order to be Aracales. We have the family to be the Aracaceae. And then we have the genus to be the Elias, and the species to be the Guinea's. So that is the system of classification of this particular crop. So we have that now. So let us dive into explaining what we need to know about this. So this is the principal source of palm oil. The palm fruit is the principal source of palm oil. This is the principal source of palm oil. You cannot have palm oil without having this fruit. The tree is single stemmed with height of about 20 meters. Though we have so many species of this palm oil now, we have some of them that are not very tall, but we have them to have an average height of 20 meters. So I said the tree is single stemmed with height of about 20 meters. Yes, that's height of about 20 meters. Now, the palm fruit takes about 6 months to develop from pollination to maturity. Palm fruits take about 6 months. Takes about 6 months to develop from pollination to maturity. Yes. Now, it is reddish. Let's look at the fruit itself now. I've just said a few things about the tree. So let's look at the fruit. The fruit is reddish and it grows in a large bunch. Fruit is reddish in color and grows in large bunches. And these bunches are found hung on the tree. Each fruit is made of oily, fleshy outer layer. The fruit, oily, fleshy outer layer. The outer layer is called the pericarp. The outer layer is called the pericarp, and it is with a single seed. With a single seed. With a single seed. The seed is what we refer to as a palm kernel. The palm kernel, which is also rich in oil. Which is also rich in oil. The oil that we have from this is called the palm kernel oil. The palm kernel oil, or in some places they just call them the kernel oil. So this plant, okay, is actually pollinated by insects and not wind. Pollination is made possible by insects or other animals. Now, the plant, when we look at the plant, it is known to have some laxative. When we look at some medicinal values, medicinal effects of the plant itself, it is known to have some laxative and diuretic properties. It also acts as poison antidotes, as well as it curing rheumatism. Oil that is extracted from the pulp or the palm oil is used for cooking, like I said earlier on. Oil extracted is used for cooking. Yes, the oil extracted is used for cooking, and the kernel oil is used for cooking as well. And the kernel oil can be used in manufacture of soap. They also use it in the manufacture of soap. Now, this particular fruit is rich in nutrients like the vitamin. We have vitamin B, vitamin C. We also have other materials like carbon, iron, we have zinc, we have potassium, calcium, phosphorus, and the rest of those. All of these are nutrients that are found, nutrients that are found in the palm oil or the palm fruit and the palm seeds as well. So like I said earlier on, the plant has, okay, let me just put that here. It has laxative and diuretic effects. Also used as antidotes for poisons. So these are a few of the things that we use this particular crop for. Also used as antidote for poison. So these and more are some of the things that we want to look at talking about the palm seed. So like we said earlier on, it is pollinated by insects. So we understand all of this now. So there are two types of oils that can be gotten from the palm fruit. We can get the palm oil from the pericarp of the palm fruit, and then inside the palm fruit is a nut called the palm kernel. The palm kernel also is used in the production of some types of oils, which is called the palm kernel oil or the kernel oil. So that is about the palm fruit. So looking at pictures on this, we have something that looks like this. This here is the palm fruit. We can see it. So we see this now. This is what the palm fruit looks like. Now looking at this place here, we have this white substance here. All of these parts here, we have this reddish brown, this reddish yellow here to be the pericarp of the palm fruit. We can see it. So this part here is what gives us the oily secretion, which is the palm oil that we have talked about. Very, very useful in cooking. Now inside here is what we have, where we have the white, where the pointer is at the moment, where we have the white substance is where we have the kernel. That's the palm kernel. So inside this white oil, this kernel here is what we said we can get the kernel oil. The kernel oil is also useful for cooking as well as in the production of soaps. So that is the kernel here in the inside the hard nut when it is being cracked. So we have that. So looking at that now, we also, let me show us other pictures. We have this here. This is another picture of the palm fruit. We see that now. So when you are told, perhaps you are told, peradventure you are told to draw and label the palm fruit. This is what the label or the diagram will look like. You can see this outer part here is the abscission layer, this upper part here is the abscission layer, and then we have the exocarp. That's the outermost coat or the peel is called the exocarp layer or the exocarp. Then this fleshy part here is the mesocarp. That's the part that actually produces the oil. And then we have this kernel here called the shell. You can see it. This kernel here that separates the mesocarp or the oily part from the kernel inside the nut is called the shell. And then we have the tester as well as the kernel that is inside the fruit itself. So that is what the diagram of this particular substance looks like. So we have this here now. This is an example of the palm tree. We can see this particular plant here. This is a palm tree. So on the palm tree is where we get the bunch that I made mention of earlier on. This is a bunch. On the bunch is where we now bring out all of these palm fruits before processing of the palm oil can commence. So this is an example of a palm tree from where we get the palm fruits, the bunch and then the palm fruit and etc. So that is about the palm fruits, which is specimen L. So let us move to the next specimen, which is specimen M. Specimen M now. Specimen M. So what is our specimen M? Our specimen M is ripe Tridax fruit. Ripe Tridax fruit. Ripe Tridax fruit. So looking at that now, this is what we have for the ripe Tridax fruit when we talk about its botanical name. The botanical name that we have there is the Tridax procumbens. Let me put it here. Tridax procumbens. That is a scientific name. Tridax procumbens. So let's move further now, talking about Tridax. So looking at the classification first. Classification, it is belonging to the kingdom Plantae. It is also a Trachyphyta. The phylum there, or the phylum or division, it is a Trachyphyta. We have the class to be Angiosperma. we have the order to be the Asterales. Asterales, the family, it belongs to the Asteraceae. Asteraceae. And then we have the genus now. The genus happens to be Tridax. And then the species is the Procumbens. So these are the things that we want to look at talking about the Tridax. Now, we have so many common names for the Tridax. It could be called, we could have it, okay, let me put it here. The common names now. Some people, they call them the coat button. It is called coat button. It is also called the Tridax daisy. Tridax daisy. Yes, that's some of the things that we call this particular fruit. Now, it is a plant that bears daisy-like yellow-centered or white-yellow flowers. Let me write that here. The fruit is gotten from a plant that bears daisy-like yellow-centered flowers. Now, the leaves are toothed and generally have arrowhead shapes. Leaves are toothed and have arrowhead. They have arrowhead shapes. They are toothed and they have arrowhead shapes. Now, the fruit is a hard acne. So the fruit is hard. The fruit is hard acne and it is covered with stiff hairs. Let me write that here. Fruit is hard acne, covered with stiff hairs, and it happens to be feathery, covered with stiff hairs and having feathery. It has feathery plume-like structures with white purpose at one end. Plume-like structures and then white purpose and white purpose. So these are some things that we want to see about the Tridax fruit. Now, when we look at it, we have about an average of 1,500 seeds per plant. The seeds are very, very tiny. So they are oftentimes used for wound healing, and they are also used as anticoagulants. They are used for wound healing and anticoagulants. They are used as antifungal and insect repellents. Let me just list some of those uses here. 1. Used for wound healing. 2. And as anticoagulants. Also, we see it used for or used as antifungal. It is used as antifungal and then as insect repellent. as insect repellent. It is also used in treatment of boils and blisters. Used in the treatment of boils. These are some of the things that we use the Tridax fruits for. So basically that is what the Tridax plant is looking like. So this is a picture of the Tridax plant. So if you look closely, you see these are the feathery particles of the material. So looking closely, you see some black patches around here. So those are the things that we refer to as we call them the Tridax fruit. So this is how the fruit looks like. You can see it. So it now has on the feathery particles, it now has the dust-like materials which are called the seeds. They are very, very tiny. So that is basically what the Tridax plant and fruit looks like. So quickly we move over to specimen N. Specimen N. And our specimen N is the mango, the ripe mango fruit. Ripe mango fruit. That is our next specimen. And the botanical name for that will be the Mangifera indica. That is the botanical name, Mangifera indica. So what do we have to say about the Mangifera indica? Looking at its classification now, we said that it is, classification first. It is belonging to the Plantae kingdom. Then the phylum, it is also a trachyphyte. So trachyphyta. The class, it belongs to the Magnoliphyta. The Magnoliphyta, and then we have the order to be the Sapindalis. We have it to be Sapindalis. We have the family to be the Anacardiaceae. And then we have the genus to be the Mangifera, while the species is indica. So we have that now. So let's move further. Mango is a dicot plant. Mango is a dicot plant. It's a dicotyledon. It's a dicotyledonous plant. And since each of its fruit has a single seed with two cotyledons, these cotyledons are fleshy and they store food. So we said it is a dicotyledonous plant since each of its fruit has single seed with two cotyledons. That's the essence. Why we call it a dicot. It has two seed leaves or seed coats. That is why we call them the dicots. Now, these cotyledons are fleshy. These cotyledons are fleshy and store food. The embryo is covered by a two-layered seed coat. The embryo of the seed. The embryo is covered by a two-layered seed coat. We call them the inner tegmen and then the outer testa. One, the inner tegmen. This inner tegmen is attached to the hilum, which is attached to the hilum. And then we have the second one, the second coating, which is the outer testa. The inner tegmen and the outer testa. Those are the two coats that we have for this particular plant. Now, we have talked about the two coats that we have there. Now, this particular fruit, because we are talking about the fruit, it has a large fruit tree that is capable of reaching heights of about 30 meters. Okay. The tree can grow to a height of about 30 meters. Yes, it can reach a height of about 30 meters. And this particular fruit has so many nutritional values. It is a source the fruit is a source of vitamins A, vitamin C, vitamin K. We have other materials in it like potassium, like manganese. We have folate, choline. Okay, let me just list them. We have potassium. We have potassium. We have magnesium. We have other things like the folates, which is iron. We have choline. It also has beta carotene. It has beta carotene. These are some nutrients that are found in the fruit. Now, looking at some, okay, let me put those here. Looking at some other beneficial factors now, we have this listed. It antioxidant effect helps to relieve oxidative stress. Antioxidant effects. Antioxidant effects which relieves oxidative stress. It also boosts immune system. Helps to boost immune system. It is also used for skin health. It boosts the immune system, skin health, eye health. These and so many others are the things that it does. It is a carbohydrate with vitamin C. It has low fat and then sodium and cholesterol. It has high amount of carbohydrates, with low fats and cholesterol. It has high amount of carbohydrate with low fat and cholesterol. So these are basically the things I want to say about the mango seed. So we understand this right now. We should also remember that mango is a type of fruit that is referred to as drupe. So mango is a type of fruit we call it the drupe. That is what we call this type of fruit. So that is basically what we want to say about the mango fruit. So let us look at pictures that will depict or show us what we are talking about. So this is an example of a mango seed. So this is a mango fruit. We have the mango fruit here. We can see the fleshy part. So this is how it looks. When we are asked to draw a longitudinal section of the fruit, this is how it looks. We have the outer coating here to be referred to as the epicap. This part here is called the epicap, and then we have the fleshy part that is eaten to be the mesocap. We have the seed inside it. Now the coating of the seed is what we refer to as the endocap. So this is the longitudinal cut of a mango seed. So we have this as well. We can see the diagram, another diagram, a label diagram of what the part of the fruit looks like. So this is a ripe this is a ripe mango fruit, and this is the diagram or the picture label diagram of the seed. So we understand that now. Quickly we move over to the last specimen, which is our specimen O. Specimen O. Specimen O, we have it to be the ripe flamboyant flower. Ripe flamboyant flower. That is what we have for our specimen O. So we'll be seeing some pictures that will show us what the flamboyant flower is looking like. So quickly let us see its classification. But before we do that, let's write out its botanical name. The botanical name is Delonix regia. Delonix regia. That is the botanical name, the scientific name for the flamboyant flower. That's the botanical name. So having said that, let us now look at its classification. Flamboyant flower classification kingdom, it is also a plantae, and then the phylum, it belongs to the Trachyphyte. So we said it is Trachyphyta. We have the class to be Angiosperma, and then the order, we have it to be the Fabales. We have the order to be Fabales. We have the family this time around to be the Fabaceae. We have it to be the Fabaceae. We have the genus to be the Delonix. Delonix, and then the species is the regia. So that is about the flamboyant flower. Other names of the flamboyant flower, other names. We have it called other names like the flame of the forest, flame of the forest. It can also be called flame tree. They also call it the flame tree. These are other names of the crop. Now, it is propagated by seed. Propagation is by seed. It has its own seed, so it is propagated by seed. And its placentation is marginal, like in the case of the bean seed that is found in pods. Yes, that is what the placentation of that particular crop looks like. Now, if you look at the uses, basically we have it basically used as ornamental flowers for decoration. Used as ornamental flowers for decorations. Ornamental flowers for decorations, and also used for their shade. Used for their shade. Yes, it forms a canopy. For their shade or canopy. So people actually use it for its shade. Now, if you look at the the flower itself, because we're actually talking about the flower. The flower has 5 red and sometimes it could be yellow spatulate petals. The corolla has 5 red and or yellow spatulate petals. Yes, that is how the flower looks, and they all flare back. That flare back. That is what we see there. There are 10 stamens in the monodelphous. It has 10 stamens. In a monodelphous. And the arrangement, okay, let me put it this way. It has 10 stamens in a monodelphous arrangement. So what do we mean by monodelphous arrangement? The lower 9, what it means that the lower 9 of the fused flowers, they form partial tube with the 10th stamen that is unfused. Let me put that here. That the lower 9 are fused. The lower 9 are fused, forming a partial tube. With the with the 10th stamen. That is unfused. That is how the flower of this particular plant here, that is how the flower looks. So looking at it, this is what we are talking about here. So if you look at it now, the flowers, we have all of these here. These are the flowers. You can see some of them to be red, and then we have the red and yellow also. So some of them have ordinary red, some of them have yellow, some of them have red and yellow. That is why it is described as such. Now we have 9 up here. If you look at this now, we have 8. This is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. All of these ones here that we have here, they are also flowers. So they form 9, and then we have the 10th one here that is fused together. All of these 9 flowers, they have a similar base here. That is why we call it a monodelphous arrangement. You see that we have at the base here, we have 5, and then we have another 4 on it, making 9, which are all fused together at the base here, where we have the last one here. All of these ones here, they are the 10th one, and they are unfused together. So that is the flower of the flame of the forest, or the flamboyant flower. So we understand what that is talking about right now. We can see how the plant looks from afar. So it has its own seeds. The seeds are born in pods, and when the pods are opened, you see the seeds arranged accordingly in the pods, and that is why we call it a marginal placentation. It is marginally placentated. So that is what we are talking about. So we can see, perhaps you are told to draw a cut section of the plant. This is a longitudinal cut of that particular plant. You can see the botanical name here, the longitudinal section of the Delonix regia. That is the botanical name. So this is how it looks. So this here is a petal. You can see the petals here, and then we have this one here as the stamen that is unfused in the middle here. All of these petals are fused monodelphously at this place here. You can see that here now, and then we have this stamen here, which are unfused, which are they make up the 10th stamen, and they are all unfused at this point here. So basically that is what the diagram of this particular plant is talking about. So that is the last species that we have, or the last specimen that we have for this particular practical session. So I'll plead with us to try as much as possible to go over all that have been said. Go over all that have been said. Look at the characteristics that have been discussed on all of the specimens that have been discussed, starting from specimen A to the last specimen, specimen O. Understand all that have been discussed. Try as much as possible to get to understand the classification, the classes to which they belong, their botanical names, and everything that needs to be known about them. I want you to try as much as possible to go through this video as often or as many times as possible to be able to get to understand everything that has been said about this specimen. I wish you success in your exam, and please, for those of us that are yet to subscribe to the channel, please kindly do so. Subscribe to the channel so you get easily notified of subsequent uploads when we put them up on the channel. If you have subscribed, please don't forget to like our content, share them with your friends, let them also benefit from the content, let them also benefit from what you are getting, and we bet you that you will get every value for your penny. Bye for now.